We're going to begin at the Commonwealth Games, where in a dramatic finish, New Zealand mountain bikers Sam Gaze and Anton Cooper have finished first and second. This happened about 10 to 5. The pair were repeating their 1-2 Glasgow performance on the Gold Coast, although in reversed order. Joe Porter, are you there?
I am indeed.
What boy, oh boy.
How are you, John?
Oh, well, good. I'm impressed by those men. They are fit. And I was watching Sam Gaze, and he didn't even seem to be puffing. It's remarkable.
I tell you what, John, I'm sweating and I've done no physical activity. The drama was that high. I can tell you now. Sam Gaze led for most of the race with Anton Cooper, of course, the pre-race favourites going into this. Anton Cooper, the defending gold medalist from the Glasgow 2014 Games. Sam Gaze, the silver medalist from the Glasgow 2014 Games. They led from start to finish. On the very last lap, Sam Gaze suffers a mechanical, something to do with the seat post, it looked like, drops back to third behind one of the South African riders, 1 lap to go. He then manages to sprint past the South African rider who, in a nice sporting gesture, let him past. He cuts down Anton Cooper. Then with just metres remaining in the last lap, they go arm to arm, handlebar to handlebar, shoulder to shoulder. Sam Gaze squeezes past Cooper and then they race for a sprint finish to the line. Sam Gaze puts his finger to his mouth, kisses up to the sky, and he's won his first Commonwealth Games gold medal, reversing, of course, the result from the 2014 Glasgow Games.
We have to say they were overwhelmingly favourites going into this competition, and I could see why. It was, with the exception of that mechanical mishap, as you said, and great sportsmanship from the South African rider, but boy, they owned it, didn't they?
Oh, they owned it from start to finish. From the start line to the end of the race, they were completely dominant, as expected. The Kiwi riders were just simply sensational on the uphill technical climbs. Many riders were coming off their bikes, getting off and walking. Not these two. They power through the rocks, up and down terrain that would be hard to walk. They are absolutely incredible, and what a dominant performance. And boy, oh boy, Sam Gaze, I mean, he is a true champion. He is the fastest man in the world right now. He beat the Olympic champion at a World Cup event just recently. He's now won Commonwealth Games gold, and there is just no one that can beat him. Anton Cooper, of course, coming incredibly close, but these two are just in a league of their own.
Yes, sometimes in the Commonwealth you are not seeing the best in the world, but in this case you truly are. Let's talk about lawn bowls. What's happening there, Joe?
Yeah, and we've picked up another medal, of course, so a gold and a silver in the men's mountain biking and a silver medal for the men's, for the triples para and the lawn bowls. A great effort from them. They couldn't quite sneak past Australia this afternoon, but it was a tightly fought affair, so a wonderful result for them. And then Valerie Adams, of course, John, we didn't know what she was going to do when she came to this tournament. She hadn't been throwing much. She's, of course, had a baby just recently, her first child, but she came out and smashed it today. She's qualified for the final, only needing one throw. She only needed to throw 16.5 metres. She threw 18.5, a metre further than her nearest rival, Canada's Brittany Crew. So again, Dame Valerie Adams looking odds on for another gold in the track and field.
Yes, she was just at her imperious best. I thought she was magnificent, and we need to point out, and this is a remarkable thing, if she wins, touch wood, it will be her 4th consecutive Commonwealth Games gold. Is that right, Joe?
That's right, and you've got to look at what training she's done, which is simply bugger all, really. She's come out after having a child not long ago, her first daughter, spent a lot of time with her family and friends, and this is probably going to be her last ever Commonwealth Games as she sort of sets off into the sunset with a record that's comparable to none. Just a fantastic effort from her, and boy, oh boy, when she wants to produce, she can produce. She is just world class.
She is. Joe Porter, thanks so much. I know you're off to talk to the mountain bikers, so we look forward to hearing from them later. Joe Porter live at the Games, where Sam Gaze and Anton Cooper came in first and second in the mountain biking. They came in first and second in Glasgow too, but the other way round. So truly defending champs. No new offshore oil and gas exploration, new being the key word. 57 permits already exist and they will continue to exist. Now, whatever you think of that announcement and the responses we're getting are fairly polarised. The negotiations were a tricky juggling act for Jacinda Ardern. While she had campaigned on tackling climate change, and the Greens have that at the very centre of their policy platform and indeed identity, New Zealand First has attached its identity to regional development, and the regions, particularly Taranaki, where oil and gas are found. We'll be in Taranaki live in a moment. A public meeting taking place tonight. We have reaction from there, but first of all, here's our Deputy Political Editor, Chris Bramwell.
Oil and gas exploration is the perfect storm for Labour as it seeks to balance the different positions of its support partners while keeping both the Greens and New Zealand First on side. The Greens want a fast track to the end of fossil fuel dependence, while New Zealand First is keen to make sure the regions don't take an economic hit. But Jacinda Ardern says all parties in government are committed to taking action on climate change. She says there were discussions in the coalition talks about the extractive industries.
As the Minister of Climate Change has made clear, it was already in their election manifesto. We were aware of that. From New Zealand First's position, it's already public that they want to see support for the extractive industries, and industries like silica, an area where we'll probably like to see more production rather than less.
The Greens co-leader and Climate Change Minister James Shaw struggled to contain a smile at today's press conference, but he says while the move is a good one, it doesn't go as far as he would have liked.
We would like to be able to move faster on this transition, but we did always say that we would honour existing permits. The fact is that there's a phase out